r/ask Reddit. Insurance people of Reddit. What's the most ridiculous dumbest claim you've seen? I used to handle claims for a telecom. One of their trucks went under a tree and knocked off a branch or two. Nothing serious. Think a stick a kid would pick up and play lightsabers with. Anyway, the owner of the house where the tree was said she wanted to make a claim for the spirit of the tree as it had been violated by the action of the truck. She claimed that the tree spoke to her and told her it had been mortally wounded. She wanted like $250,000. This was pretty early in my claims career and I didn't really know the proper way to deal with the crazies. So I was just like, lady, it is a stick. Are you serious? This claim went on for months. We ended up closing out the claim when a friend, who was a tarot card reader, told her that the tree told her that it had forgiven the telecom company and wanted her to move on. I have a sneaking suspicion that the local manager paid a tarot card reader $20 to tell her that. I once investigated a reported stolen vehicle. Guy reported it to the police, his insurer, etc. We, insurer, have to wait 30 days to see if the vehicle is recovered. Day 2 the guy calls and tells me he found his car. He just forgot where he parked it. The level of his embarrassment was palpable even through the phone. I still would rather have him than a lot of the other stories in this thread. He admitted his duck up and this was over in 2 days, not weeks and weeks. My dad did the same thing. Couldn't remember where he parked his truck for like 2 weeks and we were like, Dad, where's your truck? Turns out he had went over to our neighbors to help do some work and our neighbor had asked my dad if he could borrow the truck and my dad, being the nice guy, said keep it as long as you need, and they both just forgot about it till my dad went over to our neighbor to borrow something. Yeah, rural people are weird. We just had a customer who had a third $50,000 theft loss in 3 years. She's definitely getting company cancelled by corporate and likely investigated too. Yay, that's sketchuff. I'm surprised she wasn't investigated after the second. My brother used to work in the call center of a shipping company that specialized in shipping bigger items, like furniture. When you shipped something, you could buy insurance for the item through the shipping company. He got a call from a lady who wanted to use the insurance on a couch he had shipped. Only problem is that the couch was still being shipped. It hadn't gotten to her yet, but she was convinced that it was damaged, even without seeing it. Took a while to explain to her that, no, you can't make the insurance claim because you think something might be damaged. You actually have to have proof of the damage. LOL, people are so ridiculous. 90% of silly stuff like that could be avoided if people just took a minute to think about it. That's the problem. They don't ever think. Teenage female, 17 or 18, borrowed her parents' car, had a really bad accident on the highway, front impact, heavy damage. She told the police she was driving and her boyfriend was in the front passenger seat. She couldn't understand how people figured out she let her boyfriend drive the car and it was him, not her, that caused the accident, and she was covering it up since the insurance wouldn't pay for the damage to her parents' car if an unlisted driver was using it. Well, young girl, here are some clues that we used. The bottom portion of the steering wheel was bent. Your boyfriend had bruising consistent with the seatbelt going from left shoulder to right hip, not right shoulder to left hip. You suffered a fractured right cheek from a front impact, as if your head was turned rather than facing forward, and your boyfriend had a severe laceration to his penis consistent with a bite-down injury. We're not geniuses, but we managed to figure out pretty easily how this accident happened. Clearly she fell face first into his penis. Guy working at a car dealership claiming damage to his balls and anus after his manager decided it would be funny to blow air up his butt. Someone driving their boat into their neighbor's living room. A teenager who stole and wrecked his grandmother's car and denied that he was the driver despite numerous witnesses confirming he was, and bruising from the seatbelt consistent with driver position. Someone trying to collect insurance on their house burning down yet somehow miraculously moved their DVD collection, comic books, action figures, all important docs, jewelry, and clothes to a storage area prior to the fire. Workers' comp claimed due to an injured leg, yet posted several videos of herself on Facebook salsa dancing. Someone who literally fell through a sidewalk, and probably 10,000 more that I'm forgetting. How the hell do you fall through a sidewalk? Pretty easily, I'd guess. Gravity does most of the work. Had a guy fall into a giant mixer with while it was on. got chopped up, seen semis rear end small cars, pancaked. We also insure a check cashing business, and a cop went to cash his check and saw a crime occurring in front, had a gun battle, was shot, sued the store for $250,000 since he would never have been there if it weren't for the store, and won. Another good one. We insure a funeral home and the guy shipped embalmed body 2,500 miles and it had leaked out upon arrival, ruining the casket and requiring re-embalming. This happened within a week of Halloween too. I'm an insurance agent, and I was talking to an Allstate adjuster a few years ago. He was telling me had a claim where a guy claimed that when his trailer burned down, it had been full of X amount of gold bars, and demanded payment. Obviously this unlikely, but also, there's a limit on monetary item coverage anyways, usually 1,500-ish. The guy wasn't buying it, so the adjuster took the value the guy was trying to claim, divided that by the volume of space that many gold bars would occupy, and determined that many gold bars could not physically fit inside the claimant's mobile home. In the end, the guy was obviously mentally ill and Allstate let him retract his claim, as opposed to going after him for insurance fraud. Would gold even melt or be significantly damaged to lose its value in a fire anyway? Gold's melting point, listed on Wikipedia, is 1947.52 degrees Fahrenheit, so it quite possibly would melt in a house trailer fire. I would imagine that it would turn into a lump of slag mixed with impurities, so you'd lose a little value in the cost of separating it, but I'll defer to an actual metallurgist. Spent 8 years as an insurance agent, mostly personal lines, property casualty. I've seen all sorts of major claims, but it's the minor ones that stand out to me for some reason. One time, I had a client asking if his home insurance will pay to have leaves cleaned from his gutters. When I explained how insurance works in the nicest way possible, the man fired back, "What's the point of paying for insurance then?" Stuff like this always annoyed me. This man wasn't elderly or disabled. He simply expected us to do simple maintenance around his house. Sudden and accidental. I say this so much in my day-to-day. Take care of your homes, otherwise you'll have damage occur that insurance won't cover. Our contractors can tell if damage is due to homeowners' negligence of basic home care. Farmers insurance is really reaching for new commercial ideas. Their amazingly clever jingle can only get them so far. Our client was a motorcyclist, following behind a large truck carrying some construction equipment. One of the tethers holding a huge metal cylinder comes off the truck and the cylinder swung horizontally across the road. The truck driver doesn't realize instantly and just carries on. The cylinder catches and starts knocking over lampposts. Our motorcyclist can't slow down in time, so sped up to get underneath one before it fell, literally ducking under it. By the time he'd done that, the next lamppost ahead was already falling. He was going way too fast and hits it head on, totals the bike and sends him flying. He was relatively okay after, and frankly seemed thrilled to have been what was pretty much an action movie sequence. If you plan to leave your upper Midwest home unoccupied all winter, do winterize the house. I had a claimant fail to do that and the whole house was destroyed when a second floor pipe burst. It might not have been so bad, but the claimant didn't do anything when the water utility called to say there's an unusual amount of water going through the meter. In the end, a couple 100,000 gallons flooded the house, where it froze, thawed, froze again, then molded to shit when spring came. Insurance covers damage from burst pipes, but only if you use reasonable care to make sure the place is either winterized or heated. There's also usually a provision that says, after a loss, you have to use reasonable care to prevent further loss. I don't work in insurance. I'm a law student, but when we covered insurance in commercial law, there was a case where the client sued the insurer because an inflatable rabbit was damaged in a house fire. The judge was quite perplexed, but ended up ruling that though there was no market for an inflatable rabbit, but still gave a judgment in favor of the plaintiff for 6,000 New Zealand dollars. This claim took place at a construction site. Contractor backed his car into a porta potty while the claimant was inside. All I could think of was jackass. Was in sales for a standard placement company. No DUI, limited accidents, etc. Guy called in, and when I asked the question if he'd had any accidents or anything that might disqualify him, he said no. Spent 15 minutes going through the quote. He loves the price. I'm like, this is a sure thing. Let me just run that MVR. Guy spent 2 years in jail for GTA. No bueno. Different customer. Pretty similar story. Forgot about that time 3 months ago he ran over grandma's legs and she sued him for 100 grand. Win some, lose some. I used to work claims for a company who rents vehicles out. I had a claim where a driver rented a vehicle and stated his vehicle lost its brakes and power steering and crashed into 2 parked vehicles hard. He made the allegation where the rental vehicle was faulty and accused the rental company of failing to maintain their vehicles. I had the claim investigated for possible fraud and sent to SWE and sent out an SWE investigator out. Turns out, it wasn't fraud. The driver's wooden leg got stuck between pedal and brake and took out 2 cars, and he was just embarrassed to admit the truth. Used to handle material damage claims for a large insurance company. Most people were fine. It was usually the people who were ridiculous. Man threatened to sue us for cost difference on repairs to his automobile. The damages? A fender and left headlamp assembly on a 1997 Honda Accord. And we thought we were being nice, not totaling his car. He puffed up his chest with angry emails and a certified letter. But that was it. Woman who refused to get into a rental because the people at the country club would thus know she was in an accident that was not her fault, and that this was emotionally traumatizing to her. Suspicious hail claim was brought to attention, so our internal investigators went out to review it. In the garage of the insured there is a ball-peen hammer sitting on a stool. Insured is made to stand on stool, revealing he made the dents himself in a consistent hemispherical pattern. Too many ridiculous fraud claims to count. Combination of greed and ignorance guaranteed their failure. It was only a matter of time. One individual stood out. A paralegal calling in a negligence claim by a former client. What started off as a routine fact-checking exercise yielded all kinds of surprises. Most shocking was the fact he clearly pretended to be a lawyer, lied to his client, and lost the case, only to then double down and lie to another lawyer to take on his client, fail, and then try to pursue that lawyer for discrimination in a human rights tribunal only to fail yet again. Oh, and the client was his mother. He was being sued by his mother. Had one lady say that she put her super expensive diamond necklace on before jogging through her neighborhood. Lo and behold, when she got home it was gone. She also just happened to make the purchase 5 days earlier. I work with roadside assistance insurances. It's common in Europe. You pay a small yearly fee and you can call a rescue central for a towing truck in case your car breaks down. A form of mini travel insurance. Our company covers the towing of the car to the nearest mechanic, and afterwards we cover $300 for a rent car, hotel or public transport tickets. Usually it's small claims of $500-800. We had a customer who had totally misunderstood how the insurance worked. He sent in a claim of $7,000. It included hotel costs, rent car costs, restaurant visit, a flight, another restaurant visit, train tickets, ski pass costs since they missed out on skiing. We covered $300 of those $7,000. It was kind of tragic. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.